Hello, everybody, and good afternoon and morning. My name is Scott Morganroth of Motor City Madmouth, and we are on 108 Sitches Baseball Talk here from Daytona Beach, Florida. Yes, back in Daytona, Tortugas land. It may have, the Tortugas may be a turtle, but I'll tell you one thing, these turtles have been walking again here in 2021, and I am pleased to be joined by Daytona Tortugas General Manager Jim Jaworski. Thanks for being on the broadcast, Jim.
Absolutely, thank you.
All right, this is the final home game of the year, okay? Tell me what it's been like in 2021.
Yeah, it's hard to believe, but it's been great. It's been absolutely great. Just good to be back at the ballpark. Between the game day staff, the players and coaches and our staff, ownership, you name it. It's been absolutely great to be back at the ballpark and having some fun again. So it's been good. 2020, obviously, for all of us, was a very, very challenging year. We did as much as we could. We hosted 70 events here at the ballpark. It was an opportunity for us to still, remain involved in the community, right? To still do as much as we possibly can, even without having Tortugas baseball. But now to be able to do both of those things and have Tortugas baseball back is pretty special for sure.
All right, so what type of events did you have to host in 2020?
We sold chicken. We sold chicken out of our parking lot. We sold 1,800 40-pound cases of chicken.
No way.
And so it was a promotion through a distributor based out of North Carolina. There were a number of other teams that did it throughout the country, and we said, why not? There was a nice donation element, to the community, and it just made sense. It brought people to the ballpark. We did a number of different baseball showcases, of course, because that was easy, right? We did a dance recital, we did a yoga class, Bob Ross painting class we did at the ballpark, high school graduation, you name it. We tried to get as creative as possible and still utilize the ballpark and still be involved in the community and still do as much as we possibly could.
Well, folks, this is Jackie Robinson Ballpark. You have a museum inside of a ballpark, let alone with a great backdrop with all the water surrounding us. So if you don't come out here, shame on you, folks. This is a bucket list item. So anyways, let's talk about, once again, the Tortugas being back in 2021. About the fans and the interaction and how you've had to really be careful with COVID-19, because I know everybody has to kind of get used to bringing fans back gradually, and now, unfortunately, the pandemic continues to remain difficult to deal with even at this particular point.
Yeah, and there were a number of different adjustments throughout the season, and we continue to make those adjustments. We worked very closely and continue to work closely with the Volusia County Health Department. They've been absolutely fantastic in this whole process, and at the end of the day, it was great to have fans back in the ballpark, and everyone was excited. It was great to have that summer family back at the ballpark that we hadn't seen in a while. And so it just, everyone from top to bottom, the excitement just to be back, and the thankfulness of being back. And that was one of the things that we discussed. A couple things was, as we approached the 2021 season, to celebrate, right? It's good to be back. Let's celebrate coming back and saying thank you. Thank you for the support. Thank you for the continued support, and we'll continue to come back year after year and have some more fun.
What type of promotions did you have an opportunity to offer to your fans this year in 2021?
A lot of the same. Fireworks shows, bobblehead giveaways, the kind of ramped up our, in between inning, entertainment. We just did our 4.0 Bob Ross bobblehead. So to bring back that fun and to more importantly bring back fans to the ballpark, but to also do it safely as well.
Yeah, no, I can only imagine. So, all right, let's talk about a guy that I've known for a long time, Ron Myers with Lakeland. Folks, Ron Myers has been with the Detroit Tigers / Lakeland Tigers organization for the better part of at least 4 decades. I met Ron in 1982. Would you call him like a mentor of sorts for you in professional baseball?
100% yes, no questions asked. So Ron was my first boss. I did my internship in Lakeland with the Flying Tigers. And, I owe those guys and that entire organization everything. I was fortunate I was out of school. I had already graduated. When I got my internship, I called home and I said, all right, I'm going to move to Florida for 9 months. And thankfully, 9 months has turned into 13 years. When my internship was over, I asked, I said, all right, Ron, what do you think? Can I stick around? And he said, well, I don't know what you do, Jim. I said, Ron, I'll literally do anything. And for whatever reason, he said yes. And so I was able to stick around, continue to learn. Then that's when, thankfully, a position opened up here in Daytona. And, to still be in the league, to still work with those guys, to still learn from those guys is a pretty special thing. And so extremely fortunate, and certainly owe Ron a lot of that credit for sure.
Well, I owe him a visit soon. He'll get one before long. So I have a lot of people in Lakeland. I being a Detroit Tigers guy originally.
Sure.
I've moved around a lot, but I know my hometown is the Detroit Tigers. A lot of people out there. So yeah, Ron's good people. Everything I've needed, he's always been cooperative. All right, let's talk about the challenges of avoiding contraction with the Tortugas. I know there was a dilemma out there where, let's face reality. You have an older facility. You need to make upgrades to it. I know that the upgrades are a work in progress. I get that. So, and of course, you have a community which has been a part of professional baseball for the better part of 100 years.
Sure.
I think it would have been the biggest mistake, folks, had the Daytona Tortugas ever been contracted. Thankfully, they were not, and everybody else is better for it. But what about the challenges that you had to deal with in terms of making sure that Daytona Tortugas were not contracted?
Well, it was just making sure, we checked all those boxes, right? And making sure that we were doing the things that we need to do. I mentioned the community earlier. The support that we received was absolutely tremendous. This community is a special place for a number of different reasons. And one of those reasons is that history. To think about on March 17th, 1946, the part of history that this ballpark has played is pretty special. And, to your point, the city deserves a tremendous amount of credit, in supporting the organization, supporting the facility, and a true partnership in doing the things that we need to do. So that's what we did. And we continue to have those conversations, continue to find out what we needed to do and how we needed to continue to move forward. And, extremely excited about that opportunity and about that chance to continue to move forward and continue to have baseball here at Jackie Robinson Ballpark.
It's funny. Yesterday I got a text message from a guy named Joe, and he actually does some football stuff with me. So I told him I'm here in Daytona for the weekend. Oh, you there for the race? Well, but then all of a sudden, that's what people think of with Daytona, with the race. How do you feel to be in the same city with the Daytona International Speedway with racing, that you guys blend with arguably the biggest NASCAR community in the country?
Yeah, and it's great. And again, talk about partnerships, to have a great partnership with them and we're all in this together, right? And so whatever we can do to continue to make this community a special place, then that's what we'll do. And to have an organization like that is absolutely tremendous. And a partnership that we certainly value and continue to build upon as well. So yeah, it's absolutely tremendous. And what they're able to do, and you talk about a stadium, you talk about a wow factor. They certainly have that there over at the track as well.
Tell me more about the partnership that the Tortugas have with the Daytona International Speedway. That's pretty interesting.
Yeah, whether it's events, historically they would do a marathon and races over there, other than car races. So to work with them during that, a lot of the community initiatives with their NASCAR Foundation, with our foundation, at the end of the day, we're all in this together. So whether it's us going over there to promote our games, them coming over here to promote what they have going on, the races, or Rockville, or whatever else they have going on over there. And it's a good partnership. Coming up here in November, we have Nitro Circus. So we feed pretty well off each other, and that's the way it should be. And that goes for all of us here in this community, but certainly over at the track as well.
Yeah, I can't think of too many organizations around professional baseball that can actually feel that they have a first-class NASCAR track, and I mean first-class of tradition.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, Indianapolis might have Indianapolis with the Indy Motor Speedway, but you guys are Daytona. I mean, my goodness, that's unbelievable.
Well, and then that word history comes up again too, right? And,
right.
So the history that we have here, the history of racing, here in this area,
right.
A ton of history, to be proud of and to continue to tell those stories.
Okay, let's talk about the Florida State League versus Low Class A. Both you and I are Florida State League guys. through and through between. Let's make no secret, Florida State League has always been advanced Class A.
Sure.
Now you're dealing with a different breed of animal with low Class A. Some of the things that I've noticed, Jim, okay, more swings and misses. Again, they're younger. I get that. Longer games, I know that the numbers are between 255 and 310. Did a little homework on that. And you also have some swings and misses. Again, you talk about younger guys and lots of hits, Ks, and walks. You get a little bit of everything. So why don't you go ahead and just give me your observations on some of the 4 points that I just mentioned.
Yeah, to me, I think the biggest thing is, we talked about us not having a season last year. Well, those guys didn't have a season either, right? So, I think that has a lot to do with it, getting back into the game and into the swing of things, literally.
Right.
You can work out as much as you want, you can throw as much as you want, you can hit, whatever the case may be, but, it's still not the real thing. And so I think, especially early on, it was getting back into the swing of things, and now started to get into that rhythm and into that routine. I think, the guys are, still ready to move up to the next level and to be a part of that process and to do what they need to do to accomplish, their goals and what they want to do in their careers. And so, yeah, it's exciting stuff. The team has been absolutely great. The coaches have been absolutely great. All the staff and everything else. And, yeah, just ready to get back at it and looking forward to 2022 for sure.
When you talk about the off-the-field challenges, you're talking about 19-year-olds first time out of the chute. Not the case in the Florida State League level. Therefore, what I'm referring to is maturity level. Let's not kid yourself. There's no doubt that there's certainly a difference in maturity level now than there was before.
Well, and being fortunate to be with the Reds organization now for 7 years, they're absolutely fantastic. And the guys have been fantastic. And it's our responsibility here from an organization to make sure that those guys have what they need. And if that means, transportation, if it means, housing, whatever the case may be, that's part of our responsibility here to make sure that those things are provided, to make sure that those resources are there. And so they've been absolutely fantastic, and been really a pleasure to work with, because there's been a lot of challenges this year, right? And so to continue to make those adjustments, and at the end of the day, the goal was to continue to play baseball and continue to do that safely, and fortunately that's what we've been able to do.
Well, you bring up a lot of key points because obviously these young guys need more support, accommodations, meals, and you deal with functionality issues. Those are the type of things everybody has to deal with, but when you're dealing with a younger prospect, certainly those are things that have to be taken into consideration.
Absolutely, and it's all part of that process, right? And that goes for all of us.
Right.
all part of that process, and continuing to learn, continuing to get better, and doing the things that we need to do, and that goes for all of us.
You talk about the Cincinnati Reds, and I'll give you a little bit of longevity, folks, about my dealings with the Reds. From 1984 to 1986, I covered the Tampa Tarpons when they were the Reds affiliate. Mark Bombard was a manager, and I was working for the Tampa Tribune. I have a history with the Cincinnati Reds. I did work with Reds View magazine out in Cincinnati, which is kind of cool.
There you go.
And I saw a game at the old Riverfront Stadium. And of course, ironically, here in 2021, I've had an opportunity to see the Tortugas, the Chattanooga Lookouts when they were out in Pensacola for a weekend. And of course, last weekend I was down in Miami and saw the Reds game last Sunday. So let's talk about the Tortugas' relationship with the Cincinnati Reds. I think you couldn't beat, and I know Bob Frigoli is obviously your co-owner, happens to be up in Cincinnati. But the Cincinnati Reds, hey, you know what? To me, I've always viewed them as a great class organization, and I feel in some ways proud that, of dealing with them in the past and working with them to some level.
Absolutely, they're fantastic. In each and every way. We're extremely fortunate to have them as our partner here in Daytona, and continue to provide us the resources that we need, and to be able to collaborate and ask questions and continue to do what we need to do. But they're absolutely tremendous organization, and extremely fortunate to be a part of it as well.
I didn't even know about the Pensacola Blue Wahoos until I entered this Jackie Robinson Park and saw you have all your connections here right in the ballpark. At the time, I know that Pensacola Blue Wahoos at one point were the AA affiliate, if I understand correctly.
Yep.
And then you guys are the Class A affiliate. And then I actually wrote a story when the Tampa Tarpons with the Yankees were playing, and then I saw Yankees Reds. So you want to talk about the bit of ironies that surround this whole thing with the Reds is just truly remarkable. So tell me, Jim, could you see in the future another minor league level added? Because let's face it, 4, is it enough? Or, because I know we're dealing with a lot of independent leagues, and you kind of wonder about the playing in those. I know they try to bring down the number by 40 teams, but you never know, because then when you take that situation and then you talk about the fact that some people are complaining that the prospects aren't as good as they are, and the draft was reduced to 20 rounds, that's all a domino effect, isn't it?
It is, and for me, it's about growing the game of baseball, period.
Right.
And that's where I see our responsibility on the baseball side is, to bring baseball back, to introduce baseball to kids, to come out, to have a good time, and camps, and, volunteering in the community, and introducing the sport of baseball that I happen to know and love, and I'm sure you do as well. So, and to me, that's part of our responsibility as well. So, how we get there, I don't know. And it's a bit of a work in progress, but, the more and more opportunities that kids have to see games, whether that's on TV, whether that's in person, whether it's to go to a camp or whatever the case may be, is good for the game of baseball. And so I think at the end of the day, that's what matters. And the goal should be how do we get there, and how do we continue to introduce the game and grow the game, and it's a pretty special thing. And that's part of our goal.
I want to go over a couple of things that I've noticed. I know I touched on it earlier. Last time you guys fielded a team, you had a pitch clock. This year you haven't had a pitch clock. Tell me a little bit of a difference about what it's been like, because obviously that's led to the increased games. Because I know that MLB's talked about it. I don't think that will ever make it to the major leagues, but you've had a chance to see it firsthand with the pitch clock, with and without it now after a full year.
Yeah, and I know I enjoyed it, because previously part of my responsibilities here, I would do some of the in-between inning games and contest stuff as well. So I know for me it was a nice reminder, how much time we had and that kind of stuff. And I think just as far as the game itself, to just kind of keep things moving and that kind of stuff. You'll have the foul balls, you'll have some of the stuff in between pitches. So I think it helps. As you mentioned, it'll be interesting to see kind of where it shakes out. But yeah, I think it helps, and I think it's that nice little reminder. Just to keep things, entertainment, right? It's a part of the entertainment, business. Oh, by the way, as well as a baseball game too, and that's a pretty cool thing. So it'll be interesting to see where it shakes out.
Yeah, I don't have a problem actually with a pitch clock in the minor leagues, because after all, you're trying to get them in the mindset you want to deliver the ball a little bit quicker.
Sure.
And I remember I have played ball, folks, for 6 years growing up as a kid. I've been around it in sports media for the better part of 40 years, been covering baseball probably longer than any other sport. So, and I get that, the no pitch clocks, I know I'm probably 7 doubleheaders, especially in the minor leagues. But then there's certain rules that don't translate into the majors, like the man on second. I know they're going to do without that. I once went on public radio and said, "Why are you messing with a good game, Rob Manfred? Why? Baseball is a good game. I understand certain things that the minor leagues tend to be an experimental ground lots of times to try different things out. I get it. And you guys are in the entertainment business, and you guys will bring on the extra purist that doesn't care. They just want to see young guys working hard to achieve their goal."
Well, to me, that's the great part of it, and because it's very much about the game of baseball. It's very much about the entertainment, and it's that balance.
Right.
And when guys are here with us, and they move on to that next step in their career, well, that's a good thing, and that's the way that process should work. So now our fan base, follows guys who maybe they're with the Reds, maybe they're not with the Reds,
right.
And continue to follow them in their careers, and it's a part of that process, and it's a pretty cool part of that process.
You talk about process, and we know, especially with younger guys, you're talking about a learning process. These guys have quite a learning curve, whether they come from high school or colleges, to even get to this level. When you agree that the learning process for these guys is a bit more of a learning curve than in most cases?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, because it's, for a lot of these guys, it's the first time, to be in a situation like this, right. And maybe in professional baseball. It's to navigate through all of that. And by the way, play a pretty difficult game in baseball. So yeah, absolutely.
Well, let's not kid yourself, okay? I know this being a lower level now, but do you find that a lot of your fans really know the difference between a Florida State League game versus being on low Class A, the lower level before and after?
No, I don't think so. And we hadn't heard, really anything at all, this year. And, people noticing one way or the other, or, and again, I think a lot of it comes back to, those guys are playing hard, and those guys have something to prove, and, they want to keep moving forward in their careers. And, from a fan standpoint, just happy to be back in the ballpark and watching baseball again. And it's a beautiful, beautiful thing.
What's it like to actually be able to work in Daytona Beach, period? We know you have NASCAR, you got the beaches, you have a really hot tourist type of town where you can do a lot of different things, and you got baseball's right smack in the middle of this beautiful area.
Literally, words can't describe it. The way the community embraces us, the way the community supports us, the history, that's at this ballpark. It's really a dream come true. Didn't know what the goal was, right? Just wanted to learn as much as I possibly could, and couldn't be happier to be here now, finishing up my 12th season here with the organization, and hopefully on to 12 more. So it's incredible.
Let's talk about the legacy of the Florida State League. After all, we're both Florida State League guys. What would be, in your mind, the legacy of the Florida State League, since it's no longer in existence and now it's under, this is regulated under MLB? Because, the one thing I hated to see when the changes occurred were all these leagues with proud histories eliminated. But this one, to me, is an even bigger one, because you got to think, the majority of the parks here are spring training parks. So therefore, when you evaluate a player, okay, you're able to evaluate them in a way where, these are major league dimensions here compared to most ballparks around the country.
Well, and I think that's what makes it most interesting, to be able to have the number of baseball facilities that we do here in Florida, of course. And, then you talk about the history, and with the Florida State League Hall of Fame and the number of guys, whether it's players, umpires, executives, you name it, who have been through this league and had a part of this league. The great leadership of Chuck Murphy, and just his legacy alone, to the game of baseball, and the list goes on and on.
Yeah.
The Ron Myers, as we discussed, the John Timberlakes, the Steve Gleiners, the rest of the league. We may be a little biased, but the league is absolutely tremendous, and from top to bottom, and because of our proximity, because of as much we get together, year after year, and the collaboration, and you name it, is just, again, I keep saying it over and over again, but there's a lot of things that are just pretty special, and to not take those things for granted, and the people who have come before us, and the people who will be here after us, is a pretty cool thing.
Well, we have the right to be biased. By the way, this is Scott Moore, Motor City Man Mouth. Pleased to be joined by Jim Jaworski, General Manager of the Daytona Tortugas, here on Labor Day weekend, having a great time with Jim and staff, unbelievable, top-notch people. So what's it like to call? How do you feel when you can go to work and say Jackie Robinson Ballpark is a place that I go to work? Because, folks, this is just such an iconic thing. Jackie Robinson, to me, is Major League Baseball. There aren't many players that have their number retired across Major League Baseball, yet you have a museum in the ballpark, and you can obviously build on the fact that, he is arguably the most unbelievable baseball icon on the planet, but yet you call Jackie Robinson Ballpark, Jim, your workplace.
It's wild, right? It's absolutely wild, and to play a small part in that history, to continue to tell that story, is special, and it's something that we, continue to do and continue to do better, and to see what more we can do, and how we can involve the community more and more, and just the things that we can do. But just speechless, really, and it's absolutely special, and it's a perfect thing.
As we wrap up this conversation, Jim, is there anything out there that you want folks in baseball to know about your operation, the Tortugas, and just anything that you just put out there that you feel that might bring on more interest to come here, and just a general climate that you have that would motivate people to want to take this track here?
Well, and you said it. I mean, it's one of those things that you just need to see, and that history, because not a lot of people know about that history. And of course everyone, when we broke the color barrier in Major League Baseball, and yeah, absolutely. But just like all these guys, there was a start somewhere else, and to have that piece of history here in Daytona Beach, And yeah, to come by, to check out the ballpark, to continue to reach out if you have any questions, or you're in the area and you want to come see the ballpark, or you just want to talk baseball, right? And talk promotions, and because that's what it's about. And that's another thing with this league that's pretty special. To pick up the phone, to be able to have those conversations, to collaborate, and for all of us just to continue to get better, to grow the game of baseball, and oh, by the way, to have fun doing it too. And so those things are what I enjoy most about doing what I do, is that I'm able to do all those things, and it's a pretty cool thing.
Well, let's face the reality, folks. The ballpark's only about a half a mile from the beach.
Yeah.
Right. So, you can actually walk there, okay, from the beach to the ballpark. Lots of water around there. You can go ahead. And it's pretty well protected, too, even underneath the bleachers. They have fans and things. And it's a very nice atmosphere. I realize, the last couple of years have been tough because you had to deal with a lot of changes because once again, you had to go from Florida State League to a different level of baseball. We realize there are differences in play a little bit in maturity levels, but baseball is baseball nevertheless. I don't mean to be dwelling on it, but there is a difference, but it doesn't matter. You know what? You've got to start someplace anyways, and the average individual doesn't know a lot about that. Because the one thing that remains consistent throughout the whole thing is professional baseball players are hungry to get their dream. And that's all there is to it. I don't care whether Class A, Double A, Triple A, they're hungry to get to the bottom line. Not only to become a major league player, but you do get paid a little bit more as you advance as well. So meanwhile, it's been a pleasure having the opportunity to speak with General Manager Jim Jaworski of the Daytona Beach Tortugas. And what can I tell you, Jim? It's been great being a part of this, and I'm looking forward to another beautiful afternoon, Labor Day weekend 2021 with the Daytona Tortugas. So, Jim, what can I tell you? Keep up the good work here, and we look forward to spending more time with you down the road. Thank you for being on 108 Stitches Baseball Talk, Jim.
Thank you.